Catch up with One Nation leader Pauline Hanson. Thanks for joining me again, Pauline.
My pleasure, Chris. Thank you.
Now, I'm not going to waste my time asking whether you've finally uploaded the COVIDSAFE app, but the laws have been introduced on privacy. Are you at least reassured that anybody hacking into the data on this app would face a $63,000 fine or possibly 5 years jail?
Fully support that, and we are supporting that legislation, that the privacy laws won't be, broken with it. So that's no problems. There's two stages here, Chris. You've uploaded the app. You've done it?
I have. Don't ask me personal questions.
Okay.
Don't you ask me personal questions.
Oh, no, hold on. Chris, have you actually activated it?
I've downloaded it and I have Bluetooth on and I'm getting a little message.
No. Chris,
what do I have
there's
to
a
do
difference
to activate
between downloading it and you have to activate it. So then once you do that, you have to go and then fill in the forms and put all your information into it. So if you could have downloaded it, but it doesn't mean to say that it's activated.
No, I've done that.
So Chris, go and have another look.
No, you get sent.
So a lot of these Australians...
No, yep. I've activated it. You get sent
you must have activated
a number and you put it in and you give it your phone number and all that. Yeah, all that. I'm done. I'm fully
loaded up. You've done all that?
Yep.
And I'm sure... possibly a lot of Australians, what I've heard, have actually downloaded it but have not activated the app.
Well,
they're the figures that they are not giving us. But anyway, that's information for the Australians. I'm informing Australians now. If you haven't done that and you do want to do it, then I suggest you get on to do it.
That is brilliant public advocacy from Pauline Hanson for Australia. Download the app and activate it, she says, even though she won't be doing it herself. Actually, just before I get on to some of the more political matters of today, Pauline, I just wonder whether you can share with me your thoughts on Alan Jones and his retirement from radio.
Chris, I absolutely love the man. He was unrelenting and he was a champion for me when I was in prison. When I was wrongfully imprisoned and I should never have been charged in the first place, he never gave up, every day broadcasting about my wrongful imprisonment. I was released on a Thursday. He was due to come and see me on that Sunday in prison with Bronwyn Bishop, but I was released before that. So I've, he's backed me in a lot of the policies that I wanted to do for Australia. He's told me where I've been wrong. He has championed for a lot of the, people in Australia, those ones, the battlers. He's fought for them in cases. On a personal note, he's been absolutely wonderful with me and my son. And I've just got to say, I think we're going to lose an icon on the airwaves, on the radio. And a lot of people are going to miss him, really are.
Yeah, he's a fellow Queenslander as well. You mentioned the battlers. I mentioned in my editorial he's such a strong advocate. Think of the dairy farmers. Think of people, issues that I might disagree with him on, against the Adani coal mine, for instance. I mean, he will take a cause and he will push it relentlessly. Do you think that his voice then will leave a big vacuum in the Australian radio debate, at least?
I do, because I don't think anyone can deliver it the way that Alan Jones does. It amazes me, his research, for his age, his energy, the work and effort that he puts into it. And I don't think anyone really delivers it the way that Alan Jones does, with the information behind it. And very opinionated, but opinionated in a way that is understanding, makes you understand what he's trying to explain. That's why a lot of people, that's why he's been top of his game for such a long time. And, I do wish him all the best. It came as a shock to me, actually, this morning when I heard him announce his retirement. I knew it had to come one day, like all of us, but no, it's a shame.
Sure came as a shock to me. I was supposed to be speaking to him on radio at 8:10 this morning. I got a message last night saying a rain check. Now we know why. Pauline, let's get to the China relationship. We had the barley, threats of tariffs on barley just a couple of days ago. Now we know that 4 abattoirs have been banned. The government is saying this is no trade war. This is unrelated to disputes with China over the origins of the coronavirus. What's your view on this?
Well, look, the Morrison government, which I totally back, have, stood behind the European Union calling for an investigation in the coronavirus and where it originated. And I think we need to, the whole world needs to know. China doesn't want that. That's why they're actually attacking Morrison and basically saying he deserves a slap in the face. they're using the excuse, all right, he has to appease the public because of the bushfires and he's failed here and there and everywhere, and they won't admit to it. Now, because that hasn't worked, or calling it racism, now they're actually saying that, oh, well, we're not going to take your barley, or we're not going to take your beef. The people of China will actually lose out of that. I'm sure that Australians will take up and buy meat. If not, we'll find other countries to take our products. It is a shame because 3 of the meatworks are in Queensland, and you know, they process a lot of meat. They've gone through tough times with the drought and the bushfires and the floods that happened in Queensland, but it's very important for those jobs. But I will not say, oh, well, let's just forget what China is saying, just, you know, continue with trade. We cannot allow ourselves to be bullied by this nation, told what to do. They've sent their tentacles around the world, Chris, and I warned Daniel Andrews, don't do the Belt and Road with them. And once they get their tentacles out there, they think they can then do and say whatever they want to do and control a country. And we've seen that happen in other countries around the world, and I think it's wrong. Well, so I hope Morrison stands strong against China.
Well, I think this is related. I think the government probably knows that, but they don't want to say it is because they don't want to inflame the situation. They're just treating these as individual trade disputes. But it seems pretty clear that that China is pressing these pressure points, if you like. The big question is whether these are early shots across our bow or whether this is something more serious that could hurt our economy in the months and years to come.
Look, that is the possibility there, but if we put all our eggs in one basket, we've got the Indonesia Free Trade Agreement, we've got it with the TP11, we've got Korea, we've got other countries we've done free trade agreements with. And I think that we need to actually look at these other countries about renegotiating. The UK now that they're at Brexit, they want to talk to us about trade as well. So I think we look at other countries to sell our product to, our goods, and exports too. We cannot rely on China. You know, I'd have no problem if China told their people, do not go out and buy any more agricultural land in Australia. Do not go out there and buy up Australia's housing. I would be quite happy about it, actually.
Yeah, that's what you'd like. A ban on investments in Australia, a voluntary ban by China instead of not buying our meat and grain. But I don't think you're going to get that one. Although, of course, the government has now reduced the Foreign Investment Review Board to zero. Any investment it now goes through the review board. So they are clamping down on investment from China and other countries. You agree with that, presumably?
Well, I've been pushing for that, Chris, and there needs to be investigation into it when you've got, you know, thousands that are going through and only a handful out of 12,000 that have gone through in the last 10 years and only 5 knockbacks, a handful of that have been knocked back in foreign investment in Australia. And when you consider that they don't pay tax in Australia, that's my concern. You can't allow them to come down here, think that because they put a bit of money in the country and create employment, yes, they're paying their taxes, but their Australian companies could own those positions, those companies, and the money would be staying here in Australia by their company taxes. But foreign investment is not always good for Australia.
Pauline Hanson, thanks so much for joining us again.
My pleasure. Thanks, Chris.